have 101 on my little iPad here. And so I call to order the regular meeting of May 12th of the Beavercreek Township Trustees at our new time. I think we all remembered what time it was. So, welcome. The first order of business is our agenda. And do I have a motion to approve? Oh, we have a modification. Mr. Parks?
I have a purchase request for body repair on the truck that was damaged last winter.
Okay. Repair. Do I have any other?
Board, I have one.
Okay.
I'd like to add an executive session at the end of the meeting. 121.22G3, conference with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject or pending or imminent court action.
Okay, that would be bullet 3 under there. Any other additions, modifications, deletions?
So here's the three executive sessions.
Well, 3 things under which to go in, yeah. It'll be 4, 3, 4, and 5. Okay.
We got a purchase rec update and an update on executive session. Okay. Make a motion we approve the agenda for May 12, 2014.
Second.
Mr. Paxton.
Yes.
Mr. Kretz.
Yes.
Ms. Graff.
Yes.
Move to approve the payroll in the amount of $251,460.59.
Second.
Mr. Paxton.
Yes.
Mr. Kretz.
Yes.
Ms. Graff.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the bills in the amount of $176,450.13.
Second.
Mr. Kretz.
Yes.
Mr. Paxton. Ms. Graff.
Yes, just one question. The bill to the city of Beavercreek, what is it for?
Dispatch.
Dispatch, okay. So it wasn't obvious on the check, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
We
again,
paid them 2 big bills. We paid the dispatch or parks, and I just want to know which one it was. So. Okay, we're up to approval of the minutes for April 28th.
So move. Approve the minutes held April 28, 2014. Regular meeting.
Second.
Mr. Paxton.
Yes.
Mr. Kretz.
Yes.
Ms. Graff.
Yes.
Move to approve the minutes, special meeting held April 30th, 2014.
Second.
Mr. Paxton.
Yes.
Mr. Kretz.
Yes.
Ms. Graff.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve the special meeting minutes held, the minutes from the special meeting held May 1st, 2014.
Second.
Mr. Kretz.
Yes.
Mr. Paxton.
Yes.
Ms. Graff.
Yes. This is a time when we open it up to anyone who'd like to speak, but there's nobody here, so I assume there's no one to talk. No old business, no new business. Mr. Zaharieff.
Thank you, Board. First thing I have for you is a legal bill to pay. It is in front of you for your review. I have reviewed it and have approved it.
Okay, just waiting for Mr. Paxton to have the opportunity to review it.
Actually, I just got this, I just have some questions in and around this.
Okay.
This doesn't seem to
okay.
be detailed. I mean, like a detail is,
That is
it's detailed, but the detail, you're talking about detailed as in hour detailed or detailed in what the conversations were about in the business was?
Okay, that's
It's a general business, but,
No, no, this is the hours, and this
Right.
tells you what was discussed at those times. That's what the bills look like.
okay.
That's as detailed as they get.
Is that a fact?
Yes, that's
it.
There's been no change to
The form.
how she puts her itemized.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a
They've
standard.
always come through that way.
That's a standard that I've seen in practice.
And our contract says in tenths of an hour, and they are all in tenths. I double checked on that.
Well, that's not the question. There is, I guess, my understanding was in the detail. That we might have a little more information about what might have been discussed.
But that's the way they've always come through as far as I know.
That's what I
Yes.
was understanding was a detail. That's how it's
I
supposed to
can-
be, and that's-
I I can
That's
ask
not a
him.
question I really have, so.
Okay. So if you understand that and you want to mark it off, I'm gonna need a motion then.
All right, make a motion to approve the invoice to Newhouse Profit Ledger and Roots LLC.
In the amount of?
Up $7,934.74.
A second.
Mr. Paxton.
Yes.
Mr. Kretz.
Yes.
Ms. Grant.
You give that top sheet,
Correct.
this one to Christie.
And
This-
that,
and
I
this
just
one?
want to make note on there that that is for this month, right? 4/1
April.
through 4/28.
Yeah, they combined two bills
They combined
for
two,
us. Yeah, they
because
combined
we-
two bills
since we
and
had
put
held
it
it
into
up.
one.
Mr. Paxton?
Yes.
I might make a suggestion. On that cover sheet, is there an invoice number or a date? If you reference that, then it should all tie back.
I don't,
Yes, it's
Just have a
invoice number
matter
24280011017. I believe that.
It's probably gonna, it sounds like the
the
case
matter number
number.
right there? 2428, right there, 0027.
Yeah, 2428 here.
This is called the matter number.
001, yeah, okay.
All right. This is the first time for me, so I'm just trying to
Right.
recognize what might be coming my way.
And if you would put your initials on here, so it's the same that you have read it to.
Yeah, there isn't, she doesn't use the invoice numbers.
Okay.
All right,
Legal
thank you.
agreements, I think you,
Thank you, Board. The legal agreements in your packet, I apologize, there is one mistake on Dunleavy. They sent over the old one prior to the RFP, so the numbers are off. So I do not have that one today. However, I have Surtick's firm and Taft's firm, 2 copies there each for the board to sign.
and those we approved last meeting, so it's just a matter of signing for them.
Correct.
Okay. Now, do we all have to sign them?
Yes, it has signature for,
Everybody, okay. So you're gonna-
and I'll have hopefully Mr. Dunleavy's firm next meeting for you.
Should I, whatever it says sign?
Also, just let you know, next meeting I'll have a resolution for the Hope Taft presentation in regards to the Little Miami River as well. Thank you, Board. That's all I have for you today.
I have a question.
Yes.
You need all 3 signatures on this? Because I voted,
You voted?
I voted no for this one. Just leave me the sign.
You don't have to sign.
Okay.
Technically, just need 2, I guess.
Yeah, you only need 2. I guess when we sign it, saying that the board actually voted for the issue. Okay. I think we have HR up. You had your bi-weekly report. I think I saw that.
Good afternoon. We've had a very busy 2 weeks with negotiations. I think that's taking up the majority of my time and the chief's time. We do have something that I feel is very exciting to discuss with you. I'm not going to steal the chief's thunder, but we attended a Youth Works meeting, and that's definitely something exciting to bring to the township.
What kind of meeting was that? I'm sorry.
Youth Works,
Oh.
it's a program in Greene County and Montgomery County, but there are some differences between the two, but I know the chief has that on his agenda. I definitely support the idea, and I hope that the board will as well. And beyond that, I know that we're going to have a pretty extensive executive session on negotiations, so we have a lot of information that we need to share with you at that point.
Any questions?
Oh, now, wait a minute. I'm having a hard time hearing her.
Oh, and then negotiations
She
would be
was
an
not share
executive
some
session.
information about this topic in the executive
No,
session?
no, this Youth Works, the chief is going to expand on that.
Gotcha.
When negotiations, will be in the executive session. Is that accurate?
She's going to share more about the negotiations in the executive.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any specific questions?
No, I guess we're all good. And
All right,
Mr.
thank you.
Armstrong.
Thank you.
Board, before we get started on zoning, I did send a few dates over the weekend for a special meeting. I did realize at 4 o'clock this morning during the thunderstorm that we have to give a 10-day notice as opposed to a week notice. So the dates I sent you will not work. So thank you to Mother Nature to remind me of that in the middle of the night.
Okay, so we're gonna have to change whatever it is,
Right.
which dates, because we'll let you give your report and then we'll get to whatever
Well,
dates.
the report is simply on the set zoning meeting date item. At their regular meeting on May 1st, the zoning commission recommended for approval to the Board of Trustees a text amendment to the zoning resolution, a proposal made by me that would add the residential use as a conditional use within the B2 and B3 business districts within the township. So that now requires a public hearing before the Board of Trustees and all the presentations that will go with that. I guess my recommendation, what seems simplest to me is simply to have a trustee zoning meeting on the evening of your next regular meeting, which would be Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day.
26th,
That's possible.
27th,
That would give me
29th.
just time to make the 10 days notice.
Lori can take the minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Does that be
I'm
fine?
fine with that date.
Okay,
Shall we just advertise it for 1 o'clock? And
No,
does,
it's an
on our
evening.
meeting?
It has to be an evening.
Oh, an evening. Okay, well, I'm not gonna be here. Is that good for you on the 29th?
Yeah.
27.
27th.
The 27th, right, Tuesday the 27th.
That's fine. 7 o'clock is it?
Saturday.
That's
Okay.
7 o'clock is fine.
And it will be this room?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
I think that'd be fine.
Okay, the next item is the reappointment of a member of the zoning commission to the board. We're recommending for reappointment Al Gunderson, who has agreed to serve yet again. So,
Do you have any idea when he first took a seat? Do you have any records of when Mr. Gunderson first became a zoning commissioner?
oh my goodness, he's the senior member on the board right now, on the commission right now. I think he told me it was 27 years.
It could very well be, it's somewhere in there. Just would be interesting if we had the listing, just as a matter of interest, the long-term experience and dedication for the people who are on our board. I think that would be something that would be nice to have for us.
It might also be interesting to know who else was on the board at the time he began to serve as a junior member, too.
Yes, because I know who was on the board when I first started as a
By the way, we also reluctantly accepted the resignation of Dr. Flexman from the commission. At that same meeting, we will be making a recommendation to you at your next meeting as to, I'm waiting to hear back from the alternates whether one or the other is willing to step up into a regular membership or whether we have to appoint. So there will be some kind of appointment to make at the next meeting concerning
Okay.
the zoning commission.
It would be nice to have some sort of a resolution available.
It'll be done with resolution. I just wanted you to
No,
know
I mean
that-
for, as far as from Dr. Flexman, his
Oh,
service.
To thank
him for his service.
Okay, I'll make sure we get
Because he
that.
too has been serving a very, very long time, well over 20 years, I believe. And so-
Funny coincidence, the chairman of the Sugar Creek Township Zoning Commission was in the audience at the time that Dr. Flexman resigned, saying that he was moving to Sugar Creek, and he was immediately invited to apply for an alternate position on the zoning commission in Sugar Creek Township, which I believe he
Yeah, that may-
intends to
may-
do. So,
Thank
kind
you.
of
But-
interesting.
Please tell our neighboring communities not to poach.
Hey,
on
we're
our-
the
Yeah,
training
They can't
academy.
just ask them to move because we have such experienced people.
We're the training academy, aren't we? So, with that, what's left is a bi-weekly report.
No, you need
Oh, wait,
the
are you,
motion.
wait, you gotta,
Okay.
they need to approve.
Yeah, he's,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we haven't made the motion yet.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Getting ahead of myself here.
I think it's just this down here.
No, I understand. I'm looking for where his name is on here. There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution appointing, reappointing Mr. Alan Gunderson to the Beavercreek Zoning Commission Board for a term expiring on March 30th, 2019, or until a suitable replacement is appointed.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mr. Paxton?
Yes.
Ms. Graf?
Yes.
Will you email that to me, please? Will you email that to me, please? Thank you.
Okay, and your report, it looks like the activity in housing permits is considerably way up this year.
Well, we continue to maintain a pace that outstrips last year's pace by a factor of 3 to 4, 3.5 times as many single-family dwelling starts. And we know that with the likelihood that Claiborne Greens will actually build houses this year being high, we expect that pace to be maintained throughout the year. So last year we finished the year with 24, I believe it was, single-family dwelling zoning permits. If we have, I don't think it's unreasonable for us to expect 50 or more this year. So,
Well, I just like using the figure, we're up from last year at this time to this year at this time, up 250%. That's it. It sounds good, even if it's only 10 houses. That's it.
so
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of Mr. Armstrong on this?
I got a question for you. Yeah. I'm just curious here. By the time a permit is, somebody applies for a permit, and by the time that house is, then it's ready to move in, how many times do you visit that site?
I will typically visit twice. Once, hopefully I'll get there once before any concrete is poured in the foundation to examine the staking, the excavation for it. That's the easiest time to catch mistakes if they're being made in setbacks. And then a confirmation drive. After that, I don't have a whole lot to do with the actual construction inspection.
Do you interact with the county at all and their plumbing and things like that?
Not typically. Most of the interaction with the county is done earlier in the process, especially with subdivision development, with the installation of streets and subsurface infrastructure. And Mr. Parks would be the one that has the most frequent contact with Doug Moffett and Ken Middleton and other county agencies representatives.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Ed.
Ed, what are the sign upgrades at Circle K Marathon? What are they? That's been on there before. I was curious.
They're cosmetic, and the application was received finally last week from their consultant in Pittsburgh, and at first glance, it appears that I'll be able to approve those upgrades administratively. They're not going to change from what they are now in dimensions or number or anything like that. It's just going to be dressing them up. But if that changes, I'll certainly let you know, and I'll let them know as quickly as I can about any needed variances. But I just received that packet as I was typing these notes last week.
Okay. One other comment I'll make, and you and I had a discussion, or we may or may not, I can't remember if we had the discussion or not, but at the ODOT meeting for the Orchard Factory and Traybine 35 project, there is still obviously hesitation, pushback, resistance from the car dealers that are specifically on 35 or have frontage on 35. And I would encourage you to encourage the zoning commission and BZA to possibly set up, there was talk at one time about setting up a highway district within that. And Possibly some proactive engagement with those folks might strengthen the buy-in at some point to that project, as far as potential things that help to them that could be rolled into that project.
Okay, as it turns out, I've had this conversation with the chair of the zoning commission.
Good.
And we've both independently also spoken with the township administrator. We will meet here in the next week or so to begin discussions of how we want to go about any amendments we feel are needed to the zoning resolution, and whether they would take the form of the creation of a highway corridor overlay district or a change in actual zoning districts, the creation of a new zoning district that encompasses the highway. There are pros and cons each way, and before we go to stakeholders, we want to be clear what our options are and what our own local recommendations are, but we've begun those discussions. Yes.
Good. My thought process on it is that if they feel that they're being engaged part of the process, it might soften the other approach where they feel that they're not part of the process.
Board, our first meeting on that topic is the 15th, was Thursday. So, and that's to discuss with just the chair of the zoning commission, how to proceed, and then obviously it's going to require, we're anticipating several work sessions with the zoning commission as well as the BZA in a joint meeting.
Right.
Will that also include a modification of the signage, or that would be included in the highway district as such if you went that way, and the signage package would be in coordination with that?
My first impression was to think of it as an overlay district, and it would be an overlay that goes from one end of the township to the other along 35. Especially now that we are looking at proposals for development at the far eastern end of the township along 35, it makes no sense to not include any piece of the 35 corridor through the township. And when you do an overlay district, each piece of any zoning matter is reasonable for inclusion as a piece of what you put into an overlay district, by way of making exceptions and built-in, I hate to call them variances, but to recognize the exceptional nature of the district within the business community would be the overarching reason. And it would include signage, it would include parking, it would include things like screening and setbacks and anything else that's reasonable to include.
And parking on grass.
Parking on grass, right?
Okay. I just want to make sure, because we've talked about the signage modifications for many years,
Right.
knowing that some of this is coming
How-
through, and
How
we
far out
certainly
from
want
the
to make
highways
sure.
for it to extend, yeah, all of that is.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Terry.
Afternoon, Board. We have no purchases for meeting this week. I am prepared to talk about renewing Mr. Erickson's contract, or possibility of extending it for approximately 4 months in order to complete the projects on the SharePoint 2010 and Citrix project. And also while this audit is being completed on the township, I think that the audit will probably point out, or I feel it will point out, that we could use at least a part-time individual in the IT department. And I'd like to use the results of those findings to justify that or bring that to the board. Either way. If
When is this contract up?
It ends the end of May, ma'am.
So May 30th?
May 31st.
Okay. Do I have any input on that?
I had a couple questions on not to Mr. Erickson yet, on the videotaping. So today's meeting will be the first meeting that we actually post to the
Yes, sir,
website.
it'll be posted and published, and
Okay.
that's, right now, we have the comments turned off.
Okay.
And,
Good.
but I would imagine you want to keep it that way for
That's the
for now.
smartest way.
And maybe later, we can see how many hits we get on the meetings or something. We might consider a Facebook page possibly, or a Twitter page
Right.
account. I don't know how far into the social.
The key, I think, is number one, to get the message out that we are putting this out for people to see. That's the most important part, is that it's available and where to go and how. So number one, a link from our website would be helpful, I think.
Absolutely.
If you haven't already done that.
That will.
The other thing I would suggest, and I'll leave it to the pleasure of the board, but I would suggest that we start with today's meeting, and we refrain from posting partial meetings or test meetings or anything that we've done prior to today. Does that make sense to everyone?
Last month was very good, but if that's your pleasure, I don't see a major problem.
Well, we actually had a break in the last,
It was a lapse.
the camcorder wasn't
Okay,
set
it wasn't
to go
put up
automatically to the.
after executive
We
session.
ran a little long and it didn't copy over to the SAN disk. So
Okay.
there's a short, like a 5-minute
It's not
break in there and it's not complete.
But
so.
that's fine. Is that all right with you, Mr. Paxton? Today be the first one that goes up?
I think you ought to put it all out there. So let's stick it all out there from the beginning, let them see how we've improved on it.
I
It's a
can list
public
them as
record
tests.
anyway. Is the video a public record or not?
Yes.
The video is a public record, so.
Well, we had a preamble saying that we had a couple of trials, and this is somehow, this one is the first full
Yeah, we were tried
video.
several angles and audio inputs, being the external mic and
Okay.
the onboard mic, and now we're going through the sound system there, and the audio quality is much better.
Now, since I'll get that in the In Touch. They go to our website,
Yes.
and there'll be a link on the website, right on the front page?
Yes, ma'am, it'll be
Okay.
on the front page.
Okay. And as we saw there, each label, so it's obvious which meeting it is because at the front it tells you it.
Be labeled with the date of the meeting,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
If that's the way you guys want to go, that's fine. I'm not in favor of that, but it's here or there. It's not that significant.
No, somehow they have to know the first 3 are trials, and this is the first official.
So you want the
Yeah.
first 3 on there, I can,
I don't think it's
Label
absolutely
test.
necessary, because the
I
first
guess
2
so.
you couldn't hear, in any case.
Even though they're public record, I would recommend starting with today's meeting since we have the angle and the sound all taken care of.
Yeah, okay, then I will go with
The other
that.
ones,
That's fine, and I did realize we didn't keep it going after the lengthy executive session and the last motion that we made.
yeah.
Was not on that previous last
Just the
week.
fact that they're partial meetings, I don't want to confuse people.
Right.
That's my opinion.
We also have the audio meetings when we were testing the site out before, we were seeing what length we can put on their stuff. So the audio meetings are on, and we can take those off or leave them on. It's your discretion as well.
Let's make this, I would agree with Mr. Kress, this should be the first initial layout of our video of our meetings, and I would agree to go ahead with this
We
as the
have a
first
motion
one.
for that or not?
Now, if somebody wants a copy of this, can they get it through a public records request? Copy of the video? Or
Sure?
Is that
Yeah,
possible?
we can, I can store them if we want to keep them. They can download it from YouTube.
Oh, I can
They can
download
download
it.
it themselves.
Keep it on there,
But,
okay.
and we're not.
We won't be personally storing them on our server, we're uploading them to YouTube, so they are.
So they can copy
Open
whatever it
public.
is.
But are you save it on a disk as part of the records management?
I can.
We can do a disc.
Takes up a lot of
It's
space.
a public record, so we have to keep it somehow, don't we?
Yeah, you really should, and you should
Yeah.
put it part of the records retention schedule so you can
Yeah.
determine how long you keep
Yeah.
them. But
There we
yeah.
go.
So we have to have a records
Amend the
retention
records, yeah.
meeting so we can amend the schedule.
There you
We'll use the same retention plan as the regular meetings.
That makes sense.
Okay, I have to search the warrant.
So do we need a motion or not?
No, I think consensus is sufficient. Today will be the first one, and I will, May 12th, first meeting, okay.
And we should have that
Okay.
posted up there by tomorrow afternoon. I would
Well,
guess.
the In Touch won't be out till June, so I'm
Okay.
not a problem.
As far as Mr. Erickson, what is your justification that we need another 4 months?
Well, mainly for completion of the projects that didn't get completed, Exchange being the major one, and then the Citrix upgrade, which I believe was not, that was not on the initial justification for bringing him on in the first place. That was an addition just as the system started to degrade a little bit with latency and everything. So our host servers are pretty much maxed out with the virtualization we're putting on them right now. So we do need to upgrade that. And that's a little concern I have with the Exchange upgrade is if we're going to need to put that on hold and complete the Citrix upgrade prior to, but we're going to we'll go ahead and get to the point where we have to migrate the mailboxes over to the new server and see how if the system's going to handle it before we actually move the mailboxes over to the 2010.
How many hours a week is he working?
It's 20 hours
20
is the
hours,
max.
so we want to extend, you're asking to extend that in 16 weeks?
Yes, for
4 months.
approximately 4 months, yes, sir.
Board, this was also cover the summer vacation breaks that, and cover any time that Mr. Terry has scheduled for this summer.
We originally hired on this individual to catch us up, pretty much, to catch us up. And so here we are in the third renewal of this contract.
Right, this
That's
is-
my
This is
concern.
the end of a year.
Well, I mean, there was a 6 month to
Right,
catch him
6
up.
and 6, right.
Yeah, 6 months to catch him up. And for 3 months, we did a 3-month contract. And we just don't seem to be getting caught up here with, I think, well, what's happening here is, for some reason, we're not getting caught up on this. So we're kind of justifying the work of 2 people here, I think, for another, because I don't have my head around this, really what's going on with this either. Because we originally hired, correct me if I'm wrong, we originally hired this individual for 3 months to catch us up.
Because there was a
because he was
migration or
behind.
whatever taking
It was
place.
a migration, so it's led from one thing to another thing to another thing, and now,
The contract was for 6 with an option of another 6.
The first one, so yeah, this is the end of
this is
a
our
year.
third contract?
No, it's the original contract.
The original
The
was
first
signed for 6 months.
contract was
And we
6
renewed
months
it.
with an option of another 6 months. So it was
Okay.
essentially,
This is the third time we signed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't sign the last one because it was just an extension of the one line in the agreement that said we can extend it.
Okay, well, we extended this
Yeah,
contract 6
yeah.
months.
So the original contract was up to a year with the 6 months and then the extension of the 6 months. So it was pretty much a 1-year contract. We didn't re-sign contract. We just extended it.
Well-
We took the option of the additional 6 months.
Okay.
So yes, this will be the third extension that is before you.
Okay.
Third extension or second extension?
Well, it'll be the
It'll be the
second
second
one.
extension of
It'll
the
be a whole
original
new
contract.
contract after today
Got it.
if the board would choose to move forward with it.
Okay. Mr. Terry, is it 16 hours or 16 weeks at 20 hours a week? That's the scope that we're looking for, or that you're asking to extend. Is there a reason that he cannot work 40 hours a week and for 8 weeks? Get the same amount of work done?
No, I could definitely employ him for that. The workload is there definitely, and he has nothing scheduled that would prevent him from doing that, or even at a regular part-time at 30 hours a week.
discuss this, and is there any risk there of having a contractor work 40 hours a week?
No.
Okay, he's clearly under contract, he's
Yeah.
1099.
Exactly. It's
Relationship.
separate from our employee and what we have listed without him.
So essentially what you're saying is instead of doing by weeks or whatever, do it by number of hours?
Well,
Total
the
of so
real-
many hours?
It was a trick question. I mean, essentially, I'll be honest with you. So what I'm asking is the scope of work, is it 320 hours worth of work? Or is it we need a second person to cover us through this bridge?
Well, the scope of work is definitely, I think would justify, and I'll let the audit, determine that. And,
Right.
but
The
just
first question, I don't know, does he have
took
another
him-
job or another obligation? Would he be?
Not currently.
Would he be able to work 40 hours, and would he be willing to work 40 hours? And would that accelerate the process so that in 8 weeks we really knew where we stood? I'm not trying to discount what Mr. Paxton's asking. I'm trying to maybe work with that and get to the point, do we know? I brought this up a couple weeks ago of if this is going to be an ongoing thing, should we continue this relationship, or should we look to fill a position?
And I think that's what that organizational
And
audit should be able
The
to,
performance audit should
Yeah.
help with that.
That's right. And that was my other concern, is if we do a 6 month, we're talking about 4 month here, huh?
16 weeks,
6
4 months.
4 months.
4 months.
And we sign this contract and we get information back, maybe the timing, whether it all comes back will be about the end of that. But my other comment was going to be that we did get together with the city and discuss ways to save money for the taxpayer, and one of them was looking at IT and maybe how our IT departments might be able to merge, or get help from one another,
Complement each other.
complement each other. So in an effort to achieve that end, like you're on your vacations, maybe there's a way we can work with the city to cover for him, while he's gone, or vice versa. And there's ways that maybe instead of renewing a contract here, that we can see what they have to offer us and we have to offer them.
does the city have an IT department?
No, the city does not have an IT department, and they have expressed interest in looking at the township providing services to the city, which is a discussion that the city manager and I have. Mr. Terry has on several occasions tried to meet with Bill Casera into getting numbers and stuff so that they could look at a proposal from the township. The last we heard from Mr. Casera is that they pushed this off to second quarter as a discussion. So we're hoping to start that conversation based on our joint meeting the other day, because there seemed to be an interest, and I agree, Mr. Paxton, there seemed to be a real interest with it. But it's something that we've been trying to work on with the city since the first of the year. And one of those shared services ideas that we discussed last year in, I believe, May of last year, almost a year ago, that we look at joint services and shared services. This is an interest where they're looking for maybe the township providing the services to the city, because they know we have the infrastructure.
Well, they obviously have somebody.
They currently have a contracted position, and they're looking at other options,
Okay.
either in-house or working with the township.
We have a request for an extension or a renewal or an additional contract for Mr. Erickson. I heard two different proposals, one at 20 hours a week for 16 weeks, or 40 hours a week for 8 weeks. In other words, 320 hours worth of service. Is that an accurate?
It was just, I was just doing math, so it was.
Well, I understood that. I've got the same number right there, 320.
Have you already, has Mr. Terry already submitted for leave for the summer?
Not yet.
No,
Okay.
sir.
Do you
I wanna
plan
get these
to?
projects done.
Over the next 16 weeks, are you planning on, do you have any leave that you're anticipating taking?
Not that I'm anticipating, it's,
Okay, I understand.
yeah,
There's not much-
a situation
there's not much
that I
backup
might need
for you.
to attend. I might need leave, but I'm not, I don't have anything scheduled currently.
Okay. And so performance audit wise should be 90 days with 30 days or less to review and analyze and decide on what action we want to take. So 16 weeks seems to coincide with that cycle. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, along with your hours thing, that maybe, we look at them per job, to help you with the migration to Citrix. So you don't tie hours per week per se, so the contract is for weekly hours, or is it just for however many hours for 4 months? So it's based off of hours, so I'm saying whatever hours, if he's got to put in 50 hours this week to get Citrix up and get it running for the township, then 50 hours is what it is. Next week, maybe he puts in, 20 hours, or whatever it is to balance it out. But that would be my, if you're hiring him to get some projects up and get them running, I would say hire him and get him in here and get the projects done.
Well, yeah, and there's an ebb and flow to a project. If you're 10 hours from completion, just get it done.
Exactly.
And so you're
So
saying to have a
maybe-
contract for up to 320 hours and
Managed
up
by
to
Mr.
16,
Terry.
yeah, up to the 16,
Yeah.
no longer than 16 weeks.
If we're gonna do a migration, let's set the time period and jump on board instead
So
of.
does that sound like a doable thing, Mr. Zaharia?
Yeah, what we can do is going to be a whole new contract, so we can work off the old one and make those amendments, and then if the board approves it today, I can bring it for your signature at the next meeting.
Let me try to frame a motion if we can, and that we don't need a motion.
He's gonna put together a resolution and bring it back.
Up to 320
Up to
hours
320.
over a 16-week period, not to exceed a 16-week period, with the time allocated as approved by the township administrator.
Are you
No,
adding,
IT.
are you adding project completion oriented? I wrote that down, I don't know if that,
Whatever.
you
I
talked
don't know
about
how
it.
you define that.
Well, I can say with the Citrix environment right now, with it being,
The intent is to give you the flexibility of saying, we need you for 40 hours this week, and 30 next week, and 20 the next week, and 10, and we're done. So,
However it is, yeah.
so it's up to you to manage that. So if you're 5 hours away from getting something complete, just have them finish it this week. Gives you more flexibility.
that sounds fair.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, and you'll bring that back at the next meeting, correct?
Thank you.
Very good, yes.
Thank you.
And our next
Thank
meeting
you.
will be before his contract, it'd be the 27th.
Yeah, the 27th.
We
Yep.
should be all in sync then. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Parks. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
The first item of business today is the added motion, or the added purchase request to repair the dump truck that's put off the road in the wintertime. We have already received insurance payment for that and reduced as much of the expenditures as we could. However, some of it had to be received back in as new money, so this will complete that project. Actually, I think that's for $4,500, and we have received $3,638.49 from the insurance company on this claim.
So what is left?
What is
The total amount of the repair is the 4,200?
4,500?
500.
The balance is $4,331.
It's not in your packet in your book. It's actually when we added.
Okay, this is the addition.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, now make a motion to approve the purchase request 00319 to CarStar of Wilmington for body repair in the amount of $4,500 and authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
And again, that was the total amount of the repair?
That is the total amount minus we reduced expenditures for towing and a windshield.
Okay, and then, but of that, insurance paid a portion of that?
That is correct.
We've already received that, so our net
Our
is
net's
something
about
less than that.
$1,000.
Okay, second.
Mr. Paxton.
Yes.
Mr. Kretz.
Yes.
Ms. Graf.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. The second item on the agenda is During the resurfacing, we ran into needing a little extra asphalt to make this a quality job. So we were requesting today an additional $4,200 for John R. Jordan's.
What constitutes a less than quality job?
Actually, the two developments they were in, over the years, we've had to go in and crack fill, and the winter kind of wasn't very nice to those streets, shall I say. So if we'd have just went in with the original 1.5 inches without putting a scratch coat down, you would have had a very bumpy ride on those roads, and we'd have probably received some complaints, and then those cracks will come back through.
So this should hold up longer.
They should hold up for, I'm hoping, 12 or better years.
I'll make a motion to approve purchase request 00316 to John R. Jurgensen for the annual road resurfacing program in the amount of $4,200 and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mr. Paxson?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
The next thing on the agenda is the state or parking lot expansion project. In your packet, I gave you how the bids came out. Actually, there was 5 picked up, 3 returned. Everybody included their qualification statements, their bid guarantee. Butler Asphalt negated to give us their bid affidavit, and they listed references. So my recommendation is to go with Brewer Blacktop, which is the lowest and the best.
Have we used them before?
We have not, but they're they're in their references, which I have with me. Montgomery County's used them. I do believe Worcester Township Park District's used them, and a couple other entities out there that have used them.
Okay, and you checked on those?
Yes, and everybody was pleased with their work.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the purchase request 00318 to Brewer Blacktop for the parking lot expansion project in the amount of $35,000 and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
I'll second.
Mr. Paxson?
Yes.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm happy to get this project out of the ground. The next item on the agenda, or on my agenda, is a purchase request to redo the floors at Station 63.
This one is supposed to be the department.
It was decided last year to kind of
Jim
hire an
has-
outside company to do them instead of the guys in-house, because the guys in-house kind of adds to their workload when they're trying to do it and run calls and all that at the same time. And last year, they went with a...
The road guys in-house or the
No,
fire guys?
The fire guys.
That was
in-house.
my printed one. Okay.
This time of year, the road guys are out playing in the grass. Last spring, before open house, they came in and did them with a regular strip them, wax them. And as, if anybody's been in the firehouse, even when we went through on the station tours, you can see that that's kind of wore off. So we tried to go a different direction this time, to go in and actually clean the showers and the floors, strip them, and put a polyurethane, or I call it a polyurethane, it's a urethane finish that should last up to, well, at least 5 years. All you have to do is come back in and buff them and then mop them every once in a while, which is going to extend the life. Unfortunately, I don't know what we spent last year. I was supposed to get that number and I haven't gotten it to date. And we actually tried to get 2 quotes for this. The second contractor has failed to get back with us on that. So we're kind of under a time crunch here to get this done by the 22nd. The other one that we have proposed for this year is Station 61. We're going to start that one soon enough that I can get a second quote on it. It's a much larger building. But I'm recommending we go with multiple services to do clean and redo the floors, including the bathrooms and the grout in the bathrooms, which has never been cleaned to my knowledge since the station opened, for $5,215.
Why is the deadline May 22nd or whatever it is?
They have an open house that day.
EMS open house.
Right. Correct. And unfortunately, it kind of fell through the cracks with everything else that's been going on, to get it done a little sooner.
How many square feet are they doing?
They're doing all the common areas and the bad, and off the top of my head, without going to measure it, I couldn't even tell you.
That's not the bays, this is the
Yeah,
interior.
everything except for the bunk rooms inside is getting done.
Yeah.
The bunk rooms and the carpeted areas.
It's only the VC, the tiled areas.
The VC tiles and then all the showers and bathrooms are gonna get cleaned and resealed, and then they're actually putting an anti-slip on the bathroom shower floors.
Put the floors in the bathroom.
Not slip.
Yeah.
Is that like a coating or something?
It's something they put in
Like
the
a
sealer.
paper? Oh, it's a sealer.
No, so it's not smooth, it's
It's not a smooth surface, so you can go in and slip.
So this is a five-year deal, and all we gotta do really is
Buff them and come
buff
in and buff them once a year.
Is there a warranty for 5 years, or they estimated it would be 5 years?
They're estimating 5 years. I can have her put a warranty in writing if you would like.
I guess my hesitation is not getting another price on the same scope of work, not knowing if this is twice the price or half the price or comparable. I don't
Or
know.
do
And actually,
they do good work?
we did
I mean,
try.
Who else have they done this for? And
I didn't hear your last statement, Mr. Parks.
Actually, we did try to get the second price.
Right, and they
but the
didn't come
vendor's
back.
never gotten back with us, and it's a gentleman that does a lot of the Walmarts and those kind of stores, same kind of finish.
Sure.
What was your question, Mr. Peck?
references, basically.
Actually, references would be Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, the VA. They do a lot of the floors and stuff over there.
Okay. They're pretty happy with the work they do, you know, I mean,
They seem to be. Now, you have to remember the U.S. government does sometimes walk to the beat of a different drummer.
Sure. At least in my history, these quotes always referenced a number of square feet. So
And I'm sure on her paperwork it
I know
does.
they did. I'm sure they measured and calculated and measured it off, but as far as for having a reference for the next time
Yes,
or
sir.
the next station, or,
Yeah.
you know, if we were to budget to do this for the other 3 stations, we would have the square footage.
Well, actually, Station 2 and Station 4 have a different kind of tile or a different kind of flooring in them.
Sure.
So Station 1 is the next one. And I think the open house there is in September, so we are gonna start this process a whole heck of a lot earlier.
Yeah, that's when Try a Truck takes place. That's when 61's open.
Correct.
Do I have a motion, or do you want to delay it? Because if it's delayed, it obviously won't get done before the 22nd.
I expressed my reluctance, so that's my concerns. So
Have we ever done anything similar to this?
we've
No,
used
we've
this
not.
company
Okay.
before, haven't we?
We have used this company.
So we have used. I recognize the name.
Right,
We
and
used-
actually, they're the ones that just finished painting Station 61 and they're
Okay.
installing
Oh, and the bedrooms.
backsplash tomorrow.
Okay, so quality of work, you have a reference.
Yes,
as far
quality
as
of work, they do it
an
very nice.
internal reference. We
Right.
know what they've done. So now it's a matter of is their price per square foot competitive? And I don't have a measure to say.
I can tell you from the other work they have quoted on, they are very, for the same comparable work, they are very competitive.
For the painting, were they the high, the low, or the middle?
They were actually the low.
And Chief and Tim, as far as what the cosmetics of how it looks now, unfortunately, I don't remember that floor, how it looked, but I don't remember any one of our stations looking bad.
Right now, the wax on the floor at 63s is starting to look very dull compared to what it was
Sure.
the last time we had them done.
Okay. And the anti-slip factor, that's a safety issue, so I understand.
That is a safety issue. Plus, the other thing is, last year when they went in and did the floors, they didn't clean any of the tile in the bathrooms or reseal any of that. So that is original with the station.
I'm kind of on the same board you're
Do you
on.
anticipate getting the second quote at all?
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
I've
received
made,
it yet.
I haven't, well, I've made 2 phone calls, and he's never even made a site visit yet, so.
Yeah, so it doesn't like, so I don't know if 2 weeks makes a difference. I don't know if people go in and look how shiny the floors are. In general, I know they go into the bay and look around and,
That is completely up to the board. I mean, I can hold this
Yeah,
off,
so
and I can do it
it's-
in fall when I do the other ones, and
I'm almost inclined to say, let the traffic run through there, then do it after.
I guess my preference would be that we defer it, not that we do not do it, but that, because the anti-slip, that's interesting to me, but that has a potential of being a benefit. But my preference would be we defer it, and then we actually get a quote to do both stations that we know are coming up.
well,
And
actually, we do have a quote
for both stations.
for both stations from this company.
Okay,
But I was holding the other one off
So-
until I could get a second quote for that.
okay.
okay.
And that we ask them to give us the per square foot, or the breakout of square footage. That's my recommendation.
Okay, so I think we have a consensus because Mr. Paxton says he feels the same way. So we'll just put that off until we can do both the stations at the same time. Is that
Until we get a second quote.
Second.
And a
Second
little
quote to
bit
do.
breakdown. We may not get a second quote, so, and if that's
Oh,
the
we
case.
will get a
but
second
I'm
quote.
sure you'll get another
from
quote.
somewhere?
There are other sources that do this kind of work, it's just.
Correct.
and
Yeah, okay.
Johnny's carpet cleaning does it for downtown retail, I know that. I've never used it, but I know they do it.
Okay.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is a request for a
We
special meeting.
need Tim's signature on that.
Okay.
One of the purchase orders was missing your signature.
Oh.
Okay.
Sometime the week of the 19th to discuss the fall levy.
I think I do either the 19th or the 20th, either one.
You're talking about levy meeting.
Yeah, he wanted to, that would determine what it is, what the level is. I think that's the discussion you want to take place, and then we have to go
I
forward
would
with
hope
the
coming out of
various
it, we will have
resolutions.
a number that we want to move forward with.
What kind of time you think it would take to
1 hour?
go over that?
That'll be board driven, but we could probably get it done in like an hour, I would hope.
I can do it in
wanna add
the
it on?
afternoon that week. So.
Add it on, do we want to add it on at the beginning of the meeting?
We don't have a
We don't
meeting
have
next
a
week.
meeting. The 27th, it won't be the full.
27th.
He wants it either the 19th or the 20th, I think.
Anytime that week
Because
is good.
I think that what now goes forward is we have to have some sort of a resolution that goes to the auditor. The auditor then has to send back certification of the amount. Then we have another resolution putting it on the ballot. And we don't want to be behind the curve as getting it on in a timely manner. And within jurisdictions and townships, we want a decent number, and that's part of what takes place here. So I think that's your reason you want it done next week for a special meeting, so that the resolution can follow up the meeting after.
That is correct. I would like to get it on that time frame because,
All right, so no, 19th is a Monday.
yeah.
19th is a Monday at 2,
2 is fine. 1 o'clock's fine.
Monday at 2?
Yeah.
I prefer 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Monday, the 19th, 2 o'clock. Correct.
That's okay with you, Mr. Parks?
I'm here 7 to 3:30 Monday through Friday. And the last thing I had on the agenda is my biweekly report. If there's any questions, there are 2 items that are coming up I think I need to make you aware of because I might have to come back and ask for the board's permission. I'm meeting with an Eagle Scout tomorrow afternoon to discuss a Eagle Scout project in Phillips Park. I'm also meeting with a master's degree student from Wright State University. He has got a project going on for his master's to use the land we own either back behind Hunters Point or the Pershing property as like a test lab. But I'll get more information and pass it on to the board as I receive it.
Nuclear?
Want to support that, they'll find it.
Nuclear?
Math.
No, he's testing bugs.
Okay.
Test lab for what?
Bugs.
Entomology.
Okay. Very good.
Any questions?
Anything else to come before?
I have a few questions on the matrix, but I don't know if we're going to address that today or if we're going to digest all that a little bit more and come back to that maybe.
There's a lot of information
There
there.
was a ton. So I will have some questions, and I may just send an email to Alex,
That's
and
good. You can take
then
it.
you can come with the answers rather than,
Okay, that would be great.
okay.
Okay. Chief Vandermoss?
Thank you.
Tim.
Good afternoon, Board. Have just a few things for you today. The first item on the agenda is our annual Pro Air contract. The way Pro Air does this, it's actually an agreement that needs to be signed by the Board. The agreement itself is for less than $2,500, so Tim and I can take care of authorizing the purchase request once the Board has signed the agreement. Would you be willing to?
You have your motion, I'll sign it.
Oh, I have a motion for Alex to sign it, so if the board would just approve it, that would be great. We'll hand it down to Alex. Sorry about that.
Okay, I think we have that.
And there should be a motion.
I think it's page 28.
This is for Pro Air.
Yes.
sir.
I'll make a motion to approve the annual maintenance agreement with Pro Air Inc. for NFPA compliant service of the fire department's breathing air systems and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Mr. Kretz.
Yes.
Did you have a question?
I have
I'm
one
sorry.
question. Am I missing? I'm not seeing that figure, a dollar figure. Is there a dollar figure in there? What that,
There is on the agreement, there is not in the motion, because the motion is for the agreement.
Just for
The
the
purchase request will have the amount on it, but it is for 17.
1,725.
Yes, sir.
I can modify my motion.
1,725? Okay.
It's on the attachment.
I just like to know.
Attachment 1.
Yeah. Okay, that's,
And the agreement goes to Mrs. Zahari, just so, correct?
Mr. Kretz.
Yes.
Mr. Paxton.
Yes.
Ms. Graff.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. The next item for today is a resolution for acceptance of donation of physical fitness equipment. We had a resident contact us, and she was interested in donating some very new, good condition, basically weight equipment. And we had Lieutenant Harrison, who runs our wellness program, go out, evaluate it, and then get some cost comparisons for the resolution. You should have a resolution in your packet to accept the donation, and once that's complete, we will inventory it and put it at one of the, probably either Station 1 or Station 4. I'm not sure which one they have planned for.
Okay. You want to make a
yeah. I need to make the motion under form of a resolution. Whereas the Board of Trustees of Beavercreek Township, Greene County, State of Ohio, move for approval of the following. Whereas Monica Hex, HJX, of 935 Bridlewood Drive, Beavercreek, Ohio, wishes to make a donation of fitness equipment that includes a weight bench, barbells, 3 pairs of dumbbells, and various free weights, and a weight storage rack at the approximate value of $1,850 to the Beavercreek Township Fire Department. Whereas according to Section 505.10 of the Ohio Revised Code, the Township of Beavercreek Township Trustees may accept a donation of any real or property, personal property for any township use. And whereas the Township of Beavercreek, Trustees of Beavercreek Township do graciously accept said donation.
Okay, so I have a resolution and a second?
In a second?
Mr. Paxton.
Yes.
Mr. Kretz.
Yes.
Ms. Graff.
Yes. Now therefore be resolved that we favorably pass the resolution.
Thank you very much, Board. We will also be sending a thank you letter to Ms. Hacks, and we will go out and pick the equipment up and get it taken care of. The next item I have for the Board today is the one that Ms. Gustafson referred to a little bit earlier. It's probably about a month ago, we received an email. I'm not sure what the original source of the email was, but it did come to us for the Montgomery County Youth Works program. Youth Works is a county program that uses state and federal funding to employ youth through the summer for a period of 8 weeks. And this year they're looking to employ around 2,000, if I remember correctly, youth. And they need about 350 employers. So in talking to them, we wanted to evaluate if we would be a good candidate for that, and it seems that we would be. So what we're looking to do is get board approval to employ about 20 youth through this program for this summer. The youth would be working here. They'd be aged 14 to 17. They would work for a period of 8 weeks through the summer, specifically, or most of them would be working on hydrant testing. We would have a couple doing data entry. We'd have a couple doing plan scanning in the Fire Prevention Bureau. But the attractive nature of this program is the youth themselves are actually employed by Montgomery County. They are paid, their wages are paid through the state and federal funding to the county, so there is no out-of-pocket cost to us. Workers' compensation withholding, that is all done through Montgomery County. So essentially, we provide them a place to come to work and the opportunity to learn something, but Montgomery County actually pays their wages and everything else. So they are employees of Montgomery County. Probably the best way to consider it is they are very much like a temp agency, and we're like a contractor, only we never get the bill. They take care of the bill there. So that's the advantage to us, is we get a major project done at no major cost to us. I say no major because we would need to bring in, or we would like to bring in to make this happen, 2 supervisors, because we are going to be talking about youth and they are going to be temporary employees. So we feel it's going to be critical for success of the program to have a supervisor out in the field with the employees during their time here. They would, number one, transport them, and then also provide supervision and the quality control of the work that they're doing out in the field. There was something else I was going to say specifically, and then open it up to questions, because it is a fairly complex thing, and I had quite a bit of notes in the packet. What I was going to mention escaped me. The contract. Oh, the contract. Thank you very much. Yeah, we had Ms. Frick has reviewed the contract. There were a number of changes that she recommended based on the fact that we are a township and not quite the same as a private. We have forwarded those off to Youth Works, and everything we're talking about today would obviously be contingent upon coming to an agreement that our legal could accept, as well as theirs. So any signing of anything would have to wait to that point.
Yeah, what I thought was interesting is that you said there are 2,600 fire hydrants
Approximately.
in our district, give or take. And how many, if they get tested at all, has the county been able to do on a regular annual basis?
They no longer, to my knowledge, test hydrants at all. And as of this year, they are not actually flowing any hydrants either, aside from what they may do if they're out fixing making a repair in a system or something like that. So they will not go out and do any proactive maintenance as far as flushing or testing that I know of this year.
So we wouldn't have anything on the hydrant saying this has been tested, this is coming at certain, whatever flow, and it's an active hydrant.
Correct.
Which is, I think, scary on my part, as a person who would feel comfortable to know that the hydrant at the top of my street and the bottom of my street was flowing in case anyone on my street needed it. Since we are counting on using every one of those hydrants, if there needs to be if there is an incident in those areas, and if they're not working, then the whole incident process doesn't work. So it doesn't flow properly if the hydrants aren't working properly.
Correct. And we've had 2 fairly recent fires that we've had water system issues. The Tallowood fire about 2.5 weeks ago, we did have a water main failure. About as it was described to me, a fist-sized hole blew out of the side of
the water main that was supplying the hydrant they were using on Tallowood. And that was just a system maintenance issue. It was not a firefighter-induced issue of any sort. About a year ago, and I cannot remember which fire it was, we had another fire where the hydrant, the stem that opens the hydrant broke while it was opening. And that one, the county and we have kind of agreed to disagree on the cause of that. They think it was firefighter action. We think maybe it was a maintenance issue. In the end, the hydrant itself did not operate at the time of the fire, and they had to go to another one past where they were established. So system maintenance is important. It is water's critical, obviously, to the fires that we're trying to fight, and having a system that's well maintained is part of that. Having the testing to verify that it's being properly maintained is a critical part. There's always been a little bit of a give and take in that the system is the county system. It is not our system. Everybody thinks the fire hydrants belong to the fire department. Obviously, that is not the case. So we actually put a fair bit of time and effort into trying to maintain or at least identify areas of concern in those systems. They actually do the maintenance. So, but as we find problems with hydrants, for example, we will note them if they have to be out of service or if there's damage to them or if there's anything else that they need to know for preventive maintenance. But it's up to the county themselves to come out and actually take care of the maintenance.
Do you have any questions?
Just a couple of questions. Number one, it sounds like an excellent program as far as being able to engage youth, get them involved, get them interested, and also accomplish some tasks that we need to get completed. You said 20 individuals, age 14 to 17. How many hours per week?
They will all work 20 hours per week. We are looking to split them into essentially two 20-hour shifts. And we would run them basically 6 days a week. Monday through Saturday is the most likely scenario. That's one of the logistic issues we'll work out with Youth Works, and it has to do with having them transported here. So Youth Works at this point is looking to try and provide bus transportation from their county center to our fire admin station 61, where the kids would then be dropped off and picked up at the end of the workday.
Okay. Next question, are these troubled youth or they've been pretty
No, as a matter of fact, good question. These are youth that are looking for a job opportunity. It is completely self-selected. As a matter of fact, one of the things that the manager of the program told us is their mission in Youth Works is workforce preparation. So these are kids who want to get out, get a job. They're going to learn how to fill out applications. They're going to learn how to fill out resumes, all of that. And they actually apply to work with Montgomery County. Once Montgomery County has accepted them essentially into the program, then they have a job bank, and our job will be listed among that. And they will self-select. If they have an interest, they'll come up to us and they'll say, hey, I want to be one of the employees for this. Montgomery County pairs them up with us based off of our criteria, and we can put down the criteria we need for that. And then throughout the summer, they're expected to act as employees. So if we have issues with tardiness, if we have issues with behavior, if we have any of those sorts of problems that you would typically with employees, we report it back to Youth Works, and they could go into a discipline status. They could be terminated from employment with us.
No different than manpower.
Correct.
And it's completely self-directed by these kids. I mean, they find out about the program, and they have been increasing the number steadily each year. And this year, like David said, 2,000 children will receive jobs, but they had 3,600 apply.
Do they send us the first 20 that apply, or do we have to screen them?
No, matter of fact.
We get 50 and we have to screen that down. Look at it as a workload to the HR as far as you have to go.
Well, what they
through.
suggest is that we get our information in as soon as possible so that we get the top of the top.
Sure.
The ones that are more self-directed.
Okay.
And, we're looking to try to do that within, once we get the agreement.
But there's no post-screening process we're gonna take those first 20, first come, first served.
Exactly, and based off, there are a lot of kids who do have specific interest in the fire service, so they will try to, direct them towards us.
Okay.
Yeah, matter of fact, just to add on that, City of Dayton Fire Department uses youth from this program and have for, they say 10 years or something like that. So it's a long-standing program with Dayton Fire Department.
Okay. A couple other questions, I'm sorry. And with the fact that we're in Greene County and it's a Montgomery County program.
That was actually the very first question I asked, and when we were meeting with the director of the program, he did mention that there is a Greene County version of this. We're eligible to employ for Montgomery County. That's not a problem. He mentioned there's a Greene County version, but the Greene County version would include us paying for the help, whereas they get the funding to pay the wages. So there's a favorability to go with them instead of Greene County's.
Yeah, they're number one in state of Ohio for funding, even
Sure.
compared to Cuyahoga County, because of everything that they've been able to do.
Okay. The fact that you'll have 14 to 17-year-old, you have minors, essentially, these will only be working in the fire department? Is that
Correct.
Or throughout other departments of the township?
Administration.
Okay. And so the fact we have minors working with adults, we have no issue there as far as background checks we're required to do or that we don't already do?
No, because it's already done for the fire department, correct?
The
As far as
employees.
our employees interacting with minors?
Yeah, no, that's all
Okay.
completed.
And then will these minors be transported in township vehicles?
They will, but we will be transporting them, which goes back to hiring the 2 supervisors for that period. So we'll have three of this employees, student employees, with one of our supervisors in a staff car, and they will transport them and then stay on the site with them while they're working.
But none of the 17 or 16-year-olds will be driving the township vehicle?
Yes, we will not authorize them to do any sort of operation of our equipment.
Okay.
They can operate the hose monster and the fire hydrants, but
I
that's
had
about
to
it.
ask.
And
So-
we're having one location for them to be delivered and picked up too, so.
Central
employees will
drop
come
off,
here.
okay.
Yes.
And then one more question and 2 other quick comments. On, as far as the disruption factor, you have 20 adolescents or 10 adolescents at a time converge on a facility, and then you're trying to get your normal work done and add work. It will add some disruption to your normal day. So you've allotted for that.
We're anticipating minimizing that because there will be 10 on a given day. That 10, 2 will come over to prevention straight away. That'll be the data entry, the scanner. Of the other 8, 2 will go to Station 61 for the day, and then the other 6 will get split into 2 teams of 3, each with a supervisor, and we'll go out. So yeah, our goal is to divide and conquer as quickly as possible.
Last 2 things I had is, and you may or may not have looked into these before, just because I'm still new here. Goodwill Services.
What was that?
Goodwill
Oh,
traditionally has a program very similar, where it's a much discounted rate. It's down to the $2 to $3 an hour range. Then Ohio Rehabilitative Services also offers a program. Essentially, it's more geared to funding capital equipment if you commit to maintaining a position available to one of their candidates. So just something to look at for future. Otherwise, it sounds good.
Okay. Mr. Paxson?
Just a couple comments. You talk about hiring supervisors?
Yes, sir.
Are they supervisors, or
Yes.
are they supervisors? Are they going to be firefighters, or?
What we're looking to do is hire 2, and kind of the thought right now is to try and get 2 former employees. Think of like folks who have been full-time career people in the past, but have retired, have them come back, or somebody that's worked in fire prevention before, have them come back and serve in that role. They would be a civilian, they would not be a firefighter, they would not be, they would pay into OPERS because we would have to pay them into OPERS. But yeah, we're not looking to bring in any additional firefighters, and there would not be an OIC or anything else cost. It would be a part-time position of a seasonal nature under the handbook.
Okay, so, be covered under workman's comp and all that.
Yeah, they would be township employees from that standpoint.
I have concerns with that.
Okay.
Since they were previous employees of the township, I've had some concerns with it. Perhaps maybe contracting in some way, I don't know, that we can get around that issue with workman's comp,
Give it
if we do a
1099
contract in some way at all.
Hire them as independent contractors?
Yeah, maybe, as opposed to employees, because these youth are not going to be employees. That was my concern with supervisors. The other one was, since these youth are going to be working with pressure hydrants, there's a chance of injury, workman's comp on them as well. How would that play out if there's an injury or a claim, or something happens while we're transporting them?
It's part of the,
I need to know about that.
it's part of the contract with Montgomery County.
Okay.
They're covered under Montgomery County.
They're covered under their workers' comp. One of the concerns I had about the contract that was issued is it didn't address other insurance issues. And that was one of the recommendations that I made, that they would be covered under their insurance and not under ours.
Right. Is there some kind of waiver that they can sign that if they are involved in an accident, that they can't come back on their time?
Well, that's
Actually
part
need
of
it.
what was
That's
put
part
into
of
the contract.
Our counter back to them, there includes language on
You
it.
would either need the county or the parent/guardian to do that, because the minor can't sign a contract
The
anyway.
way,
And the other, just had a comment that if these youth do hydrant testing down there, they're gonna be data entry, more or less, or be flowing hydrants, or testing hydrants?
They're gonna be flowing and testing hydrants. Well, of the whole group, 12 will be flowing and testing hydrants, and then 16 would be,
Flowing.
2 of them would be doing data entry. So they'll turn in the forms at the end of the day. The next day, the data entry person will be coming in doing the entry itself.
And maybe Dayton has a training program they use. It might be worth looking into what they
Yeah, we'll
use.
be reaching out to them to see exactly how they
Since they've
utilize
done
it.
it before, might be beneficial to us to do that. That's all I have.
okay, so do I have
On the
favorable?
question, as far as making those supervisors, employees, or contractors, are we required to team that minor with an employee of the township, or can it be a subcontractor of the township?
That was actually, I don't know that, they never said that it was a requirement. I just kind of thought of it as a best practice that we have an actual employee be responsible instead of a contractor be responsible.
Yeah, I appreciate Mr. Paxton saying from a cost standpoint and the latent or the hidden cost potentially, but I think from a liability standpoint, I just feel more comfortable with an employee. I understand.
Well, and that might be, my only question with hiring a previous employee is that employee retired on some form of disability, or they retired on some form of, in a claim? That's all I'm saying, as a real claim, and as a claims perspective on a previous employee that's been here already. That's my concern with that. What do we, when we bring back, and we bring them back under our umbrella, what do we open ourselves back up to? So,
Well, I guess we have to screen that through legal at that point and say, what are we, if we're bringing back a medically retired.
Well, I can tell you the 2 candidates that we would prefer to bring back, and obviously we're not to that stage yet, but I'd like to be at that stage after today. Neither of them were disability or workers' comp related issues with retirement. If we got far enough down the chain, we could potentially run into that, but if these first 2 folks that we had in mind are up to it, we don't have an issue with either one of them.
Would it be the fire budget taking the liability of hers and employer share?
I would assume so, yeah. Unless the general fund would like to.
No.
I'm more than happy to let you
I'm
do it.
just clarifying, because there's, in
Yeah.
addition to their hourly rate, there's gonna be.
Right, and that's reflected in the cost I had in the packet. And we already paid a PERS so we have a line item in there from the fire department.
I just think that would really warrant a little more looking into before I'm comfortable with it.
You're saying that Montgomery County has done it for 10 years?
15, I think, for the
15?
program. City of Dayton is around 10 years involved.
It's just new for us, but it's evidently a tried and true program. So I don't know what further looking into might
Well, the
do.
program, is you're right, the program itself might be tried and true. My concern is not in what the program, as much as it is in what the supervisor's situation.
In our motion, can we stipulate that the supervisor be someone who's, if it is a past employee, is not someone with those conditions?
You could put on there that,
We could stipulate that.
yeah, stipulate
That
that
would
it's a
take care of
regular,
Mr. Paxton's.
regular retirement, yeah.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
and quite frankly, the motion in here is just to give me the impetus to go ahead.
Yeah.
To hire them, I have to bring them back to hire them anyway, so we'll have a chance, you have a chance to fully vet them at that point.
Well, okay, I mean, that's some questions in and around that.
You know, there's 2 other options. One is to use current employees, but we would be talking overtime for every hour they'd be out there. And I think
Much
it's
higher
still
hourly
value-
rate.
Correct. And then the other possibility would be to hire somebody who has no fire department experience with us, but you lose a lot of we would incur a lot of additional upfront training and lose a lot of the quality.
Because of the trainer.
So, right.
Right.
As long as we have the vetting process then I'm satisfied with what we have in front of us.
Okay, so would you like to make a motion then?
Well, and if I could, real quick, before we make the motion, if you could add a phrase to the first motion at the end, basically after legal approval of the non-financial agreement. So we want to make sure that legal has approved the agreement before the township administrator were to sign it. Or will sign it.
After legal approval of the non-financial.
Agreement. That's correct.
Okay, so in this motion, really, we're not making any kind of a motion to hire supervisors.
We're not picking a supervisor.
Not the first
They'll
one.
have to bring those supervisors to us and we'll approve them individually. I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of 20 youth work seasonal employees and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board after legal approval of the non-financial agreement.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Mr. Paxton?
Yes.
Ms. Graf?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of 2 seasonal part-time fire department employees limited to 320 hours each at a rate of $15.72 per hour and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Mr. Kretz?
Yes.
Ms. Graf?
Yes.
Mr. Paxton?
Question. Did we just, okay.
Before I can hire individuals, I need to bring their name and all the additional information back. So this is not hiring specific people. This is authorizing me to hire into those positions so that I can, what I don't want to do is go out and talk, get everybody involved, and then come back and then have the board say, no, we're not going to hire anybody. So
This is authorizing the positions?
Yes,
You have to
that's-
then hire someone into those positions?
Yes.
No, I would drop and authorize the township administrator to sign for the board. I would end it
Yeah.
at a rate
Okay.
of $15.72 an hour. Period.
Is it limited to staffing nature?
We modify that then. You want to go ahead?
How do we come up with that rate?
That is the same rate as the part-time fire prevention specialist, and it essentially equates to the top level part-time rate for an 8-hour schedule. So it fits in with the rates that the other employees are making. Other part-time employees.
Yeah.
Okay.
For example, Inspector Retriever should be making $15.72.
Yeah. I just.
Alex, should I restate the motion?
Yeah, I would also change, I make a motion to approve the position.
You can authorize the position of 2 seasonal part-time.
Yes.
Okay.
You are not amending your staffing matrix at this time, you're just asking for temporary.
Correct.
Okay, seasonal employees.
And what we were gonna look to modify that anyway. If this works out well, I'll probably build this into a redesign for next year.
You'd have to bring that back.
Exactly. The authorized staffing resolution does not change. This is just a temporary adjustment to it.
Okay.
So basically, we're 320 hours apiece, right? Is that-
Yes.
Each.
And that's the duration of the program, the youth program, is it
Yes,
based on hours?
It is
or
an
not?
8-week program. So 8 weeks times 40 hours.
All right, we'll try this again.
Since we did a second, is it just easier for them to vote no on the one that what they just did and then start anew? Thank you. Okay, could you just, can I call roll and we're gonna wipe that
Well,
one?
we just
Or
withdraw
just
the
vote
motion
no?
too?
Yeah, because you have a motion, you have a second, you
Okay.
have discussion, so
You wanna vote,
Mr.
okay.
Kretz,
No.
Mr. Paxton, Ms. Graf.
No.
Thank you. Now do approve the position.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the position of 2 seasonal part-time fire department employees limited to 320 hours each at a rate of up to $15.72 per hour.
Do you want a
Okay,
second?
all right. To be filled by 2 seasonal.
It's
I make a motion to
authorizing
approve.
2 positions. It's
Yeah.
not
It's authorizing, right.
2
Motion to-
part-time positions, each of 320 is what he's.
A motion to
does.
approve,
It does.
right,
It does.
2 position. Approve the position of.
That's what I
2
wrote.
Motion to approve the position of 2 seasonal
seasonal
part-time fire
part-time
department
firefighter.
employees limited to 320 hours each at a rate of up to $15.72 per hour.
All right.
Period.
I have one question here. I know this is boring, but it doesn't say what it's for. Is it for this youth program? Is it for hiring two?
You're right.
Do
We
we need
should
to be
say that.
specific in there and say what these two positions are for?
For the
We know
youth
what they
programs.
are, but in our motion,
I think that's best. I think you are correct. That would be best to have that
We can do
clarified.
Can I
So
add
he's
that?
Somehow-
modifying the motion
Yes,
to
just amend the
include
motion.
I can just add it to the end for
the youth works seasonable
Ohio youth.
employee.
For the Ohio Youth Work Seasonal Intern Program.
All right. Is there a
And
second?
the second agrees to that modification.
All right. Mr. Kratz.
Yes.
Mr. Paxton, you'll see it in the minutes. It'll be okay.
yes.
Ms. Graff.
Yes.
Thank you, Board, for getting
Make
us
it
through
work.
that. I'm very excited about this opportunity. This is taking essentially the place of the old seasonal intern program that we had, that we've been going away from for a number of years, and I think it gives us a good alternative to that. So, the last item I had for the board was the biweekly activity report. Most of what's on there is kind of, it's almost become a little boilerplate for you, senior staff, and what we've been discussing. Contract negotiations, we'll be discussing more in just a little bit. Township City meeting, obviously you attended. Organizational analysis, obviously you have the results of those. Probably the one big thing that's on there that's new is the water supply training. We did complete that. Basically, it was 3 very intensive days of training for the crews. Each day we laid about 3,000 feet of hose and then pumped it through a relay of 4 engines and worked through all the issues related to that as far as communication coordination. We also did deploy 600 feet of hose by hand twice to evaluate the possibility of that as a method for water supply. And we're going to take all the information that we learned there and finish incorporating that into our policy. So we now have a water supply policy that is new. This information will flesh that out a little bit into some details. So it's a very good training. Other than that, I'll be happy to answer any questions for the board.
I think it, right here.
Thank you very
I
much.
think we are fine.
Thank you.
Okay. Legal advisor? Trustees?
I had a question for legal. On the contracts, is there a start and end date? I didn't see it.
I asked that same question. I think we decided,
talked
according to
about
the
this
law, we
before.
have to hire them annually.
The statute, I think, provides for it to be annually, and that's when we bring it to the board annually.
Okay.
So I
didn't
assume
see
that
it.
annual,
So
yeah, I didn't
This would
either.
only be good for,
This year.
I think as the motion that was passed, the meeting will discuss it.
2014.
It was just for 14, so I'll be bringing it back before 15.
November, okay.
And there's 2 originals, is that what we have?
We got one for us and one for the attorney.
Okay, just making sure.
And I'll bring Mr. Dunleavy's next meeting.
Okay, Mr. Paxton, anything? Fiscal officer?
I do. I just wanted to let you know, I did go back, there was the discussion about, was there a motion made regarding department heads getting a hold of legal and all of that, and there never was. So I did want to let you know that in March of 2013, it was discussed. In the last, really, there was no motion. Discussion occurred, and that the township administrator, after reviewing the bills, I don't know. The administrator recommended that a motion be prepared stating that the trustees intend to have all attorney contact approved by the administrator prior to contacting the attorney. General discussion occurred, and then we adjourned. So I just wanted to, that was a question that we talked about, but it never, there's nothing. We looked.
That was our policy.
I thought we did too, but we never found anything. We could not find anything in the minutes that said that there was a motion or a resolution that was passed.
There was definitely discussed, there was 2 brought forward, one for administrative, one for legal, but then they both didn't go anywhere. They never came back, they never got revisited after that.
Well, maybe we need to bring it forth at the next meeting with something.
We can bring it back. I have it. I mean, I have what we had prepared and everything.
I think we were all under the impression that we did, but I didn't want you to go on thinking that we had, because we could find nothing, so.
Okay.
Okay, well, I can bring it back for the next meeting then.
Just
Very
so you
good.
know.
Yeah.
And then the only other little thing I had was I ran into Mrs. Preslowski at the Women's League Scholarship Luncheon. She still has our township iPad. Okay, are you getting that? Okay.
Every time I've gone
Just
by, she's
checking.
not there. So.
Okay, because I'm like,
Well, why don't we just ask her to drop it off here?
I'll go get it. I just, every time I stop by, because it's on the way to my parents' house, so.
Okay, I just was like, oh yeah, we should probably get that back. So.
And then Mr. Kress had something?
I had a couple. Mr. Zaharoff, what's the next step on investment advisory committee and putting something together for that?
I was waiting on the board members to send some names to me. I double checked that in the minutes to make sure that I wasn't supposed to
Are
bring.
we going to frame up though I thought we were going to, in my recollection, my notes, so that we were also going to just work on framing up what that committee was to do.
Yes,
and
I am looking at
what others do.
incorporating the audit committee and putting in, see if they're interested in doing those duties. I am looking at a policy to bring towards the board. One thing I would ask the board, because we were going to extend that committee to some financial people, what was discussed at the meeting was that you would, if anyone, like we did before with the audit committee, if you have any names, if you'd please provide that to me and I'll see if they're interested.
And I believe we also said that anyone on the committee could not be, submit proposals.
Right, they could not submit to,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you have a feel, or can you get a feel from Mr. Cornell and the city's investment advisory committee? They show one. I don't know if it's active.
Sure, I can check with that.
It is active because I met someone who's on that committee. And I don't know exactly, I can't tell you, it might have been election day. I ended up working election day.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
So it is an active
But
committee.
it just seems to be something to maybe benchmark from and go from there.
And I can tell you what they do. They review Mr. Casera's investments, what he has done, and how he has invested the money, and say, that's hunky-dory, and go on from there. Because Mr. Casera is their, I forget what he...
Finance director.
Finance director, actively invests the city funds on a regular basis. He essentially told me that anytime he has $250,000 available, he hunts around to find out what the best possible rate he can get at any particular time in some sort of instrument for which he's allowed to invest, and he goes ahead and does it. So he's an active person, so the committee doesn't just reviews to see if what he's done makes sense.
If there's any names that the elected officials would like to put forward, see if
Now,
they're
are we
interested, send it to
saying anyone in the township? Or just
and that's how we do it with the audit committees, anybody in the township
Okay.
as a whole.
Sure. Okay. I had a question for either Ms. Aarons or Mr. Brown as far as, did we do any more discussion on PNC's fees?
We have actually, and
Okay.
I had a meeting with them on Friday, and they are going to switch some of our, some things that happen on the back end, like from Pinnacle to Pinnacle Express, and I'm not gonna get the statements any longer, I'm gonna go online, I'm not gonna get the images on the checks, I'm gonna get them online. So there's a lot of changes that can be made internally to get those fees probably down to about $50 a month.
Okay.
So
Great.
that is in the works. They're going to switch us on June the 1st to make sure, and that has to do with lockbox deposits as well, David. And he's spoken to Med 3000, and they will no longer be getting the paper. They will go online to get them, and Jennifer was fine with that. So there were several things that needed to fall in line in order for that to happen. And so far, it seems like everything is running in line. So we should be able to start that June the 1st. I have not heard back anything from Huntington.
Okay.
They have not returned the quote to quote that.
Okay. And I had one question on the 3-page on the Morgan Stanley. On the March and April interest payments,
Okay.
this fund is invested in CDs or in
It's, you know,
bonds?
and I don't, Mr. Kress, I'm not sure off the top of my head, it's all laddered differently on some things are bonds, some things are CDs, some things are, I mean, they're all different.
So this could have been the balance, this would have been either the maturity of a
It could have been
CD or
matured, I think
an
there was
interest payment on it.
one matured CD that came through, which is why you see that 3, whatever it is, I don't.
Right, the
yeah.
3 and the 4,000. I saw
Right.
the jump there. I didn't know if that was something matured or if that was an interest payment on a bond portfolio. That
And
wasn't-
it could be one or the other. I think it was a CD, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that will also be reflected in your investment activity report that you get. That's just a snapshot of what that 16-page report says, but the information is identical, just in a different format.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, did you want a minute, a 5-minute recess before we go?
Yeah, we don't want to go into executive session. Sure.
We want to recess before we do.
Yeah.
Just,
Okay,
you
so
can go
I'll-
into executive session, but just not start it if you want.
No, so I will declare a 5-minute recess, and then we'll come back in and
Okay.
go executive session. I just wanted to